Hey, what is going on, everybody? This is Beanie and welcome back to another video. Today we are going to start on the National League. We're going to be starting with the National League East for the Team Affinity rewards. We're going to be reviewing those 5 players, and I gotta say, this division is kind of polarizing. I think that there are 3 really bad rewards, or not really bad, but just not very good rewards, and then 2 rewards that are really good. So yeah, let's just go ahead and get into it. First up, we have the 89 overall Fred McGriff for the Braves, and honestly, I can't believe this card is an 89 overall because there's just not a ton that stands out about this card to me. Yeah, you know, personally, I usually prefer left-handed first baseman just because I like to get a left-handed power bat through that alley. And this guy actually is my first baseman right now, but I'm looking to upgrade as soon as possible because he's not the greatest in the world. I mean, yeah, against righties, he has 91 contact, 93 power, lefties, 72, 64. He's a platoon guy. He does have 77 vision, so your PCI is going to be okay, but he's more of a platoon guy. You're not gonna want to hit this guy against lefties, so he's not gonna be like a guy that you're gonna carry for months and months. He's just not that type of player. He's the kind of guy that can get you by for a couple of weeks while the game is still fresh, and as soon as they release a card that you're able to get to replace him, you're gonna do it, especially if it's like a signature card or something like that. So yeah, just not a super impressive card to me. He's also not that great of a fielder. You know, he does have 66 fielding and 59 reaction, which for a first baseman, there are first basemen out there who have worse numbers than him. But I've had several instances where he's just flat out dropped balls for me. Like a throw from the shortstop, it'll be a good throw, he'll just drop it. I don't know, it's very strange, but he hasn't been that good at first for me. And then, you know, just the fact that he doesn't hit lefties well either. You know, if I have a left-handed bat and he hits lefties good, then I don't have to worry about platooning him really because I can hit lefty on lefty. But if they're 72, 64, then I got to kind of start to worry a little bit about that guy. So overall, just a good early game card, but you're not going to want to carry this guy much longer than that. So I ended up giving him a fag of a 6.9. Coming up next, we have the 87 overall Miguel Cabrera, and at third base, usually I look for power. I look for a guy that's going to provide me some pop because, you know, sometimes if you're, especially in this year's game where defense is so important, it can be kind of hard to find guys with power that aren't just complete trash defensively. And you know, but that doesn't mean this card is bad. Just because he's more contact oriented, he's still a good card. He does have great contact, and he doesn't, I mean, he's not completely devoid of power. He has power, you know, 65 versus both sides, so that kind of makes him a more balanced hitter, and that's kind of a positive. But just from the position he plays, power, to me at least, is so important. It's almost like first base. You know, you want more defense at third, but contact and power, man, you got to get a good hitter out of that third base hole. So I really would like this card a lot more if he had like upper 70s to lower 80s power. Then he would be just an absolute monster. I'd even be willing to sacrifice like 20 contact versus both sides in order to get that power, even though the meta this year has kind of tilted a little more towards contact. So because of that meta shift, maybe this is a card that you really like, and the fact that he's not devoid of power either is a big bonus for you. So, you know, that you could make that argument, but personally for me, I'm not gonna. And then defensively, this card is just okay. You know, he's not gonna hurt you that much, but he's not gonna be saving you a ton of runs either with 71 fielding and 69 reaction. He does have a relatively strong arm as opposed to some other offensive oriented third basemen. So there is that, and he's also not going to be the fastest guy in the world. But overall, I would just say it's a solid card. It's slightly, but it's a slightly above average Diamond Dynasty starter. I'll say that. So for all those reasons I laid out, I ended up giving this guy a fag of 7.1. Okay, now we're starting to get into the juicy cards. And at first, whenever I was running through the Team Affinity rewards, just immediately, I was like, man, you know, I didn't even really think about this card that much. I just was like, oh, okay, it's kind of cool. And then I just kind of scrolled over it. But then when I started to sit down to do this, I was like, damn, man, this card's actually kind of fire. And there are a few reasons for that. One, against righties, he's going to have 108, 69 contact and power with 73 vision. He's going to hit righties really well, especially now that we've shifted more into, you know, contact and stuff like that. Then against lefties, he's definitely going to be a contact guy. He's not going to provide you much power at all with only 39 power, but he does have that 93 contact, so that's a bonus. Fielding, he's not the greatest fielder in the world, you know, he has 71 arm strength, but then just 65, 63 fielding and reaction, but he does have that 97 speed to make up for it, and he also has 95 stealing, so his speed is going to be a legitimate threat on the base paths. If you can get this guy on base, it's going to be a run more often than not. Then, just the thing that sold me on this card, the thing that made me think, okay, yeah, this card is going to be a problem for a lot of people. The utility of this card. He can play anywhere up the middle, and he can play both corner outfield spots. That's huge. Because I talk about it all the time. The fact that a guy can play a variety of different spots, it has so much value, because how often do you find yourself whenever you're trying to build your team up, you're like, man, I really need to find a guy for this spot, but there's no one available. Or there's someone available for this spot, but that means I'll have to move this guy to this spot. And with Trea Turner, you'll be able to move that guy to that spot, and you'll be able to keep him in your lineup for longer, because even if you find an upgrade to him, maybe he will be an upgrade over someone else in your lineup. And even if he gets kicked out of your lineup, he can be put on the bench, and he'll have a ton of utility there. You can pinch hit him versus righties. You can pinch run him. You can bring him on as a substitution, you know, for whatever reason that you might want to. So overall, just a ton of utility that this card had. If this guy was a switch hitter, I would go nuts over this card, because I would honestly like him better than the Ben Zobrist because of the speed. But you know, he's not. He's just going to be a great utility guy. That's more of a righty, kind of a reverse split righty. But I still think that has a lot of value, and for those reasons, I ended up giving him a FAG of 7.8. Okay, now let's get into my personal favorite of all the Team Affinity cards. This one is the one that I've really I look at it, I love it, I want it. As you can see right here, I'm only like 70 innings away from getting it. And once I get it, he will go directly into my lineup, and I will be happy. But it's the 89 overall Jose Reyes, and there's just so much to love about this card. The only thing I don't like about this card is that he can't play multiple positions. Everything else I love. Contact 78, 99 with 90 vision. Big PCI. Even for a guy that's only 6 foot tall. I know that there are guys that are a lot shorter than that, but right around the 6 foot area is when your PCI starts to kind of get scrunched in a little bit. Then he has 54 power. That's not, you know, that's not anything to write home about, but it's not, he's not devoid of power. If you get a hold of a ball, you can hit one out with this card. Then you get to the defense. He plays plus defense. I mean, it's not plus, it's not elite, but 82 fielding with 84 reaction, especially to go along with that speed. He's going to be very rangy. He has 83 arm strength. This guy is perfectly reasonable on defense. You know, like a lot of people want that elite guy that's going to be making crazy plays. Really, I think the difference between an 80 overall fielder and a 99 overall fielder is much smaller than like from 65 to 80. I think that 65 to 80, I mean, you can get a lot of differences in there, and you'll see a lot of bad defenders in that range. But once you're above 80, I think it's kind of all gravy on top of that. And then he has the arm strength, like I said, and then the speed. He's even faster than the Trea Turner if you factor in stealing as well. So he's going to be a nightmare for your opponents on the base paths. And then to top it all off, he's a switch hitter. He is a switch hitter. So you're going to be able to plug him into your lineup, and most of the time you're going to be able to bat lefty with him whenever you're facing a right-handed pitcher. And then if they dare throw a lefty against you, you're going to be able to have 99 contact with 54 power, and 90 vision. So there's just no way to get around this card. If you put this card in your lineup, he's going to be a factor every single game. He's going to be a problem for your opponent. And for those reasons, I ended up giving him a FAG of an 8.0. I think this is one of the best Team Affinity rewards there is. And then finally, we have the 85 overall Richie Ashburn. And I'm just going to go ahead and kind of give you guys a warning that since the game is moving more towards a contact-oriented meta, I think a lot of people might be tempted to go, well, this Richie Ashburn, man, he has great contact, he has great vision, and so that means he's going to be really good. I would caution against that, and there are a few reasons why. One, if you're going to go with a guy who is as devoid of power as this Richie Ashburn is, you really want elite speed and defense to back it up. Even if he has the contact, I'm going to go for a guy like Ichiro. You know, a guy like that, a guy that has the contact, has the vision, but he also has the defense and the speed. And while this Richie Ashburn isn't bad on defense, he's definitely not great. You know, he has the 80 reaction, but he only has a 75 fielding. He only has 65 arm strength, so his arm isn't going to be that strong. 78 speed is okay, but with 63 ceiling, it's not really enough to be like a real problem on the base paths. You can deal with this guy on the base paths fairly easily. So really, the only elite thing that you're talking about with this card is his contact. And yeah, that's important. And yeah, this guy will probably get a lot of base hits for you, but it's just not enough for me to be sold on this card, enough for me to tell you to go out and get this card, because I just don't think he's worth the grind. I think that you'll find a bunch of center fielders and corner outfielders that will be better than this card. So for all those reasons, I ended up giving this guy a fag of a 6.4. The power really hurt him on the grading system, but I think a 6.4 is about right. That puts him in the average Diamond Dynasty starter range. And I think that's about right. There are some people that may be really buying into the contact meta that disagree with me on this. And that's fine. You can let me know why in the comments. But for me, I feel like that's the grade that feels right. So yeah, let me know in the comments why I'm wrong. But anyways, guys, that is going to do it for this video. Like I said, leave a comment, leave a like. If you're new, please sub. And yeah, I will see you guys later on today. I do plan on streaming today. So yeah, sorry about last night. I just didn't stream. I watched Survivor and then I went to bed. So no Survivor tonight, so we will be streaming hopefully. So yeah, anyways, I love you guys. I will see you guys later, but until then, peace.